Hi, family. Today I would like to share with you some. It's a word. It's an old word. You won't learn it in school. And I'm not sure if there are any, how do you say, like translations of this word into another language. I'm not familiar. I'm sure there is. And I'll just refer to the English word of today we'll call. So this word is harbinger. And what does that mean? It means usually, with the words in the really old dictionaries, like the ones that were like this. Hold on, now, how do I do this? I mean, like this thick dictionaries, and wider than my camera can show you, like massively huge. And the words, they have like so many different meanings. It wouldn't just be 2 or 3 or 4. It could be 12 or 20 or 44. I don't know. It was interesting. Those old dictionaries. So to sum up, like, what does this word harbinger mean? Basically, it's like what the contemporary public might refer to as a phenomena. Case in point would be the eclipse. What was that? In the month of April. Yes, indeed, it was. The beginning of the new year. And it's some in the esoteric realms, or like I don't know, creative realms of like people who write the scripts for the scary movies and stuff. And they would call it like an omen or a foretelling of events that are more than likely to unfold based on the current trajectory extrapolated against the likelihood of, I don't want to say opposing force or interference, or like if something's got a trajectory and let's just say it's riding on the waves based on, like, let's say the like from a thermodynamics point of view, right? And you're floating along the waves. But what happens if you change the let's say the barometric pressure and or the temperature, ambient temperature, right? Has a lot to do with it. And then your sort of trajectory moves in a different way because you've had this interference of fill in the blank, weather, or some other type of influence, right? That's what it means to say, like, because anything and everything is possible at all times. It's always in the field. But when we see the phenomena or the harbingers or the omens or what I like to just refer to as feedback from, I don't know, it could be something having to do with the sun, right? Like, where did the sun go, by the way? Where did the sun go? Certainly interesting. If I could disassemble my, I just give up on the idea of picking up my camera and showing you like this, because I didn't get it right yesterday when I was trying to do that with the dog. So, but I just want you to kind of imagine with me what I'm looking at. See if maybe, let's see if I can do this. Whoa, careful. Here. You see all these winged insects? Oh, here comes Tekka. You think I want to get you on film? Is that what you want? Is that what you think? See how they're like powdery fine. How they just float like nothing. And look, they're everywhere. And this is just their wings. And just the wings of those that the birds and the bats did not eat in the nighttime. This was like a swarm of, I don't know. Anyway, so, you know, go back to the Harbingers. The Harbingers, yeah, I just had to, I had to kind of, I don't know, try to put it in perspective, this weather phenomena. Using my own sensory perceptions, of course, you know, the feel of the barometric pressure and the feel of the humidity in the air and the ambient temperature. But I don't know, I also have to use a little sort of background information to kind of compare it against, right? So that's just your data input, but what do you bump it up against? Like, what do you know about any of this subject matter? You know, I just know a wee bit, because that was my first duty station was at a weather detachment, and you know, working in what they call the airfield tower operations. I don't know, ground control, all that. A military, basically an airport that's strictly for the military. And then later on, I was exposed to some of the the things that are associated with the how do they say, the control of or management of various types of fuselage, caveman fuselage. Yeah, I'm referring to the different airframes. I'm going to give a big shout out to Boeing and encourage them to start putting some thought into the R&D of anti-gravity vehicles, because I believe if you could sell those to every single person on the planet, then I don't know, that seems like a pretty profitable business. And it doesn't bring the bad karma of developing weapons to wage all the wars and anyway, other things. Other things. other, I don't know, we could say phenomena, or we could say Harbinger, or we could just say this is what I observe and this is the basis of the information that I bump it up against. It would appear this way, but let me sort of take an observation for the moment. It would seem this way, that given the the extent and the duration of this cloud cover here, which appears to be based on my 3 years experience with the change into the summertime, that there's some different stuff going on. And you know, I don't want to speculate or anything like that, but I know what I saw happen to my fruit and vegetable garden when it sort of began crisscrossing the skies. Like, so much more disbursement of particulate matter in the air, and I know what it did to my plants, and I know how it felt on my skin, and it just was really, yeah. Well, now we have these permanently, like, I haven't seen skies like this since I left Belgium. Now, recall in an earlier video I mentioned something along the lines of the weather or the climate giving us a feedback loop of what is the present temperature of the collective consciousness there. Is it bright and sunny, or is it dark and gloomy? Hang on, my phone's making noises. And you know, following that eclipse, that disappearance of the sun, you know, the boy child, the Son of God, the, you know, whatever you want to call it. It was disappeared, didn't it? And then, after that sort of harbinger, Agent Smith doesn't want me to talk about this. After that harbinger, there were several other things that took place, you could say, behind closed doors, away from the public view. And anyway, so just wanted to go back to the experience. I'm sorry for bouncing around and making a seemingly discombobulated presentation of this material, but, or this rather perspective, rather, is a better word. But, you know, just trying to maneuver around the thought police or whatever, right? So now I'm about to share something that's probably going to trigger a good, perhaps good number of the crowd. And And that's fine, you know. I'll deliver the message as diplomatically as I can, but these perspectives are based in Hermetic principles. And natural law. So don't, like, I didn't write these laws. The intelligent design of the universe wrote these laws. And a very smart man named Hermes wrote these principles. I certainly don't pretend to be anywhere near intelligent as Hermes or, you know, the Great Spirit, whatever you want to call. So don't shoot the messenger, right? Just check it out for yourself. Argue with Hermes. Okay, so here we go. I'm just gonna spit it out there. Then, oh God, all over the place following that Harbinger. There appeared everywhere, like all these posters for women presidents and women presidents of towns and villages and, you know, sort of regional levels and state levels and federal levels, and of course the president of this. I guess it was a big, huge election all over the country. I just began seeing, and I'm going to see if I can drop some of these in the thumbnail later on, or I don't know. I don't have any pictures, but if I can remember, I'll take some pictures of all these women running for all these offices. And, you know, there was a small spattering of, I think it was one or two guys amongst all the races for president. And they were so demasculated and, well, anyway, needless to say, here we are in June, and we have a female president. Now, going back to my story, and again, forgive the discombobulation, it has to be presented in such a way so as to avoid categorization and synchronization and extrapolation and interpretation by artificial intelligence. So, got some notes here. Not too many. So, you know, if we want to talk about harbingers, for instance, we could say that, you know, we could point to a lot of phenomena, whether it be man-made or otherwise, right? And this one they call, you know what is, I really don't like it. They took my numbers and switched them upside down. My numbers are 11 and 9, and they took them and turned them upside down. So I won't have to tell you what date it was. I won't have to say those numbers, but I think it was back in the year 2011? No, 2001, sorry. Quite a while ago, isn't it? Full 23 years or something, isn't it? Anyway, we could say that was a bit of a harbinger, and then a few things that transpired since then, and then of course the harbingers that are clearly, well, at least they appear to be clearly a phenomena of nature and not, you know, manufactured by man. Anyway, see where I'm going to go back to. Oh yes, I want to talk about VFR and IFR. So, you know, VFR is visual flight rules, and it means to say that, you're either flying at such a low altitude so that you don't need to be on the radar. Like, you're taking the visual flight, your rule path, you're taking responsibility for your direct eye contact with the ground and that which is around you, so that you don't require any management of the of your vessel, of your aircraft, or whatever. So, a lot of times you'll see this, like helicopters, for instance, but the weather like this can obviously have a deleterious impact on the radar. Well, at least according to the technology that I'm familiar with, that we used in the military, but I left there a long time ago, so perhaps it's changed. But the radar was used for the purpose of handing off from one station to the next the management of the entire flight, from where it originated to where it landed. And that's what you would call IFR, or instrument flight rules. That means you rely upon because you can't see nothing, you're so high up there. It's just clouds or whatever. So you need to have radar facilitating your journey, because you can't tell where you're at or how close you're flying to another aircraft, or whatever, the case is. You need, if you can't make decisions about the navigation of your aircraft using VFR, then you require, certain types of aircraft are just automatically required, regardless of the altitude which you find them. And that would be commercial flights, for instance, like, let's say, hypothetically, I don't know, name an airline, just whatever. I'll just say Delta Airlines, hypothetically, or Aeromexico, or whatever you get my point, right? The passenger aircraft, right? The one that the tourists come in on. Those, I'm familiar with the flight patterns of those commercial flights. And I'm familiar with the frequency of those flights as I pay attention to it, as they go by, and as I hear them in the sky. And, there are not any commercial flights going. They're not. Not in this weather. Well, it's possible, but I'm not saying it's not possible. If you just had to do it, you could, but it's a general rule for the overarching management of air traffic, is that, at least those vessels that are carrying, civilian passengers and cargo, is that, like, they go by IFR. So there's no IFR going on in this. No, I'm afraid not. But now, let's just say, for instance, hypothetically, let's just say hypothetically you owned the port, not just one, but all of them, the ports, for the buses, for the railways, for the airplanes, all the airports, for instance. Well, then you could just say that due to weather conditions, the flights are going to have to be canceled, right? All the commercial flights which apparently there's not too many tourists coming now because it's a rainy season, but nonetheless, that's a good time to do it, because no one will really pay much attention to it. And, but I do hear craft flying overhead. I hear craft that sound like they could be using VFR, or there is no other or they're just following a certain set path, and there's no other air traffic in the air that they have to worry about running into. Because I hear quite a lot of them, like just today, for instance, this, and check it. Like I said, I'm familiar with the frequency and the times of the flight patterns around here. And these flights are taking place in the middle of the night. I'm hearing helicopters in the middle of the night. So I'm sure maybe the cloud cover breaks up or something in the middle of the night. We don't know because we're inside sleeping. But, you know, point is that well, yes, this, I went on a little sidetrack right there to bring us back to the you know, what follows the harbinger, right? If you don't pay attention to the warning, right? If you don't change course. And well, we would call that a sort of like that area over there that they're flying in and out of. I mean, their flights aren't restricted, so I would just call that a zone for people carrying a certain type of passport. Call them dip passports. I'll let you figure out the rest of the word. But anyhow, so just wanted to point that out. What's going on over here? It's interesting times indeed. So, all the best, family. Ciao for now.